Alright, UFC 307 might have some massive problems, and we might be slated for a main event between, yes, Juliana Pena and Raquel Pennington. And I don't think that is going to go over with any UFC fan whatsoever. But how did we get here? Well, guys, if you guys recall, it seemed like we had the whole year, worked out. Looked like we were going to have UFC Noche, then followed up, we're going to have Max and Ilia Topuria in Salt Lake City. Co-main event, Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena. Then we were going to get the Abu Dhabi card with Islam, and of course, John Jones and MSG. And at the end of the year, Conor. We thought that this was going to be the final schedule. But of course, the world of MMA is never finalized, right? There's always injuries popping up here and there, and Islam Makhachev revealed he was not going to be able to fight in October. Like, we need to do something about this guy's fight schedule because he's been fighting like once a year on average. Like, seriously, we need to figure something out. And I don't think it's entirely Islam's fault. I just don't get why we keep holding him for Abu Dhabi as if he has to fight there every time. You know what I mean? Because then we start seeing things where Islam fights in February and then we hold him all the way to the end of the year. It just makes no sense, but that's besides the point. So Islam's out, and now the new main event is between Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria, which means the event that was supposed to take place 2 weeks prior no longer has a main event, right? That was supposed to be the card with Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway, so now that has no longer a main event. And there isn't a lot of options if you're going to look at the champions, right? Some of them have a fight schedule or a fight schedule shortly after, so it's definitely a tough situation if you're the UFC looking for a new main event. And I also just want to bring up the fact how women's MMA does get shit on a little too much, right? Like, I know that the UFC fans are going to go crazy if this gets announced. Like, for me, I don't think this main event is so bad because of the fact that it's like a women's MMA fight, right? It's just the fight itself. We got Raquel Pennington just coming off of a win against Mayra Bueno Silva, no big deal, that happened in the beginning of the year. And Juliana Pena, who has not fought in a long time and is coming off of a loss. Like, it just doesn't make sense from a main event point of view. Maybe if this was even Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison, that would make more sense. But the way I see it, there's at least 3 possible replacements you could do. I mean, 3 champions that you could argue that are available. And let's start off with Alexandre Pantoja. Now, obviously, he last fought in May and fought against Steve Ercik, and he's going to be looking for an opponent soon, I'm sure, right? Because, yeah, he probably wants to return at the end of the year, get another fight in. And this would be a good spot for him. Right now, they don't have announced where he's going to fight, but he could either main event again or co-main event to this fight because, I don't really see him fighting anybody that's a huge name that's going to get fans excited, unless they do this and wait for the winner of Kai Kara-France versus Steve Ercik, which is going to happen in a couple weeks, and then maybe they book the winner of that fight against Pantoja. I know Tatsuro Tyrant and a lot of people want him to get a title shot. However, I don't think this is likely. There really isn't an opponent that you could have Pantoja fight against. I mean, if they kept Muhammad Mokaev, that would have been a good choice, but we know that he's not an option, so I think Pantoja's out as well. Now, another fight you could do is Tom Aspinall versus Alex Pereira. Now, this would be a massive fight. We know Alex Pereira doesn't have a fight announcement anytime soon. Like, it does seem like they're kind of waiting for things to play out, so he's kind of on the sideline. This would be a perfect main event because this is what the fans want to see, the winner of this fight against John Jones. Now, I would feel bad for Tom Aspinall that he'd have to keep defending this interim title, but look, let's be honest, Pereira for Aspinall, that's a pretty favorable fight for Aspinall, so I could see him being willing to take that, just because if you look at it from a size point of view and even a stylistic point of view, you have a guy in Alex Pereira who was a middleweight not that long ago facing a guy in Tom Aspinall that's been a heavyweight all of his life. You could do that one, and I think that would blow the minds of fans all around. Nobody would be complaining about that, and I don't see why it's not possible. I'm sure both guys would be down. However, I think they're going to want to keep Alex Pereira and Tom Aspinall separated for now, seeing that they're both kind of big stars, I guess. Tom Aspinall not as much, but let's say both potential really big stars, you know what I mean? And that fight could be bigger in the future. Now, my third choice for a replacement you could possibly do is Bilal Muhammad versus Kamaru Usman, or Shavkat too. I guess you could do either or, but I think the Usman fight makes sense for a main event. Look, Bilal Muhammad, I get it. Is he the most exciting fighter? No, but look, Kamaru Usman is one of the greatest welterweights of all time, no doubt about it. And yes, even though he's coming off of a loss, I thought that he won the Hamzat fight. I did not think the first round was a 10-8. I know that's controversial. I scored that as a win for Usman, and he deserves it, dude. At the end of the day, look at his welterweight reign. I mean, look at Leon Edwards. Look, no offense to Leon Edwards, but the guy fought once in like the past year. Kamaru was fighting like 3 times a year, maybe even 4 times in the 365-day span. I mean, the guy was always active, and we know about his injuries. He has sacrificed so much for the sport. I say give it to him. Why not? One last opportunity, trying to beat Bilal. I'm really not sure who would win that fight. I'd probably go with Bilal just because of the injury stuff with Usman lately. Prime for prime, I think probably Usman takes it, if I'm going to be honest. But sadly, my guess on what they're probably going to do is sadly keep this main event as is. Yeah, my prediction for this is I think we're going to sadly see Juliana Pena versus Raquel Pennington. I mean, it is worth mentioning that these two did have beef because they were on the Ultimate Fighter together a long time ago, but outside of that, there isn't much heat to this fight. But I do think they're going to try to stack this undercard a lot. I mean, we're already hearing rumors of Wonder Boy versus MVP, as well as Dustin Poirier versus Volkanovski. That would be a phenomenal co-main event, 5 rounds. That would be just, that's all we need. And I would probably pick Dustin Poirier in that fight, and that would just probably be a fun fight, and also just wouldn't make sense, because why wouldn't Volkanovski just fight Ilya? I mean, I don't know. I don't think Dustin Poirier is retired either, so for those of you guys that might say, yo, Dustin retired, I don't think he's retired. I think he's probably gonna fight again. I'd be shocked if he did. But in conclusion, yeah, the UFC's in a tough space. Let me know what you guys think should be the main event of that Utah card, or could it just stay the main event and have a stacked undercard? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and check out my last video where I talked about Conor McGregor hating on Donald Trump and also Michael Chandler. That was a hilarious Twitter exchange. Also, check out my other video talking about Tony Ferguson and if he should retire. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.